Welcome to R.I.P. Sleep, where nightmares and the macabre come to life, stealing your sleep for another week. Join us in the graveyard as we find the cause of death.
Welcome back to RIP Sleep, everybody. You got Travis hanging out with you as normal, and with me, as always, my co-host, Robert.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. I cut him off.
Yeah, what's the surprise? You cut me off all the
Yeah.
time. So,
Hey, in line. I could have been moaning to keep the story in line.
what the fuck? Okay, anyways. So, today we have a holiday spectacular, fright-tacular, whatever you want to call it, movie for you. I have so many things that I don't like about this movie, if I'm going to be completely honest, but we'll get to them. Today we are talking about Black Christmas, not the 2019 version, not the 2006 version. We're talking about the 1974 version of Black Christmas.
Yeah. For those who don't know this movie, originally it's a Canadian slasher film that Travis has said before came out in 1974, and it was produced and directed by Bob Clark.
Yes, and this movie is like if you think of like a stereotypical 70s slasher movie, congratulations. This movie kind of spawned them, because this movie came out 2 years before Halloween. And Halloween was like the first big slasher movie that really kind of like put slashers in a spot where they could continue to make them and progress into the amalgamation that they are nowadays.
Yes. The biggest thing I think is crazy about this movie is that the director, Bob Clark, is the same dude who had directed both the Baby Geniuses movies.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh god.
Both Baby Geniuses.
He
He did Porky.
Yeah, he did Porky's and he did A Christmas Story.
This is like his only real horror movie that he has directed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, so this movie is overall, I enjoyed this movie because I watched it for the first time today. I've seen the 2006 remake, but I've never watched the original until today. Gotta say, very much enjoyed this movie, but at the same time, questioned so much about it. There's so much about this movie that kind of irritates me, if I'm gonna be completely honest.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I love movies like this, so this is where a good spawning point for a lot of horror movies came into interest for me, especially ones that weren't centered around the typical Halloween festive time, and instead give us a couple of good old killings on the Yuletide.
Yeah, that is fair, and with the fact that it is the Yuletide season, I feel like this is a good one for us to talk about for our first Christmas movie of this year, Christmas slasher.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I feel like, I've noticed the last couple of episodes that we've done, we just kind of like take the entire time just to tell the story of this movie. And I feel like like it's not bad that we do that, but at the same time, I feel like we should like try to make people want to watch it instead of just telling them how the entire movie goes. Do you know what I mean, Robert?
I understand that completely, and I do wholeheartedly agree. But I feel like one thing that we can keep consistent is kind of going down some of the big namers in this cast.
Oh, absolutely.
One of which a lot of people in the horror community is going to know who's in this, and that's John Saxon. Saxton or Saxon? Saxon, yes. Who is very popular for playing in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. He plays in a couple Enter the Dragon, New Nightmare, and this one, of course.
He's been in a lot of movies. He has 197 accredited movies on IMDb, actually.
Yeah, but the big ones that stand out usually for people is Nightmare on Elm Street, because he plays a lieutenant in that movie too.
Yeah, and
So
then he plays Lieutenant Donald Thompson in Nightmare on Elm Street, and then Lieutenant Ken Fuller in Black Christmas. Yeah,
but this came first. So he was a lieutenant here first.
that is very true. So I feel like to give a brief synopsis of the movie before we jump into like the characters. Um, so essentially, this movie takes place, during Christmas time. It's Christmas break. It follows a group of sorority sisters as they make plans for the holidays. Um, their house that they live in has been getting these phone calls from somebody that they called the Moaner, uh, which
Pretty
is
self-explanatory for what you think he does over the phone.
yeah, it's very self-explanatory. So we follow along these sorority sisters, Jess, Barb, Phil, Claire, and I don't know how to say the sorority mom's name. Oh, Miss Mac. That's who it is.
Miss Mac.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we follow along these
The
girls.
booze queen herself.
Oh my god. So we follow along these girls as Claire disappears, and people are trying to find her, and as well as a 13-year-old girl disappears as well. And essentially, people are going missing. People are potentially dying, but there's no definitive proof for a while. And it just kind of all spirals out of control. There's, like I said, there's a couple things that I really don't like about this movie that irritates me, and it's more of like stupid logistic type stuff. But like overall, I did really enjoy this movie.
Listen, these are the movies that spawn the cliches. So these cliches had to start somewhere.
Yeah,
So
that is true.
It's one of those things I feel comfortable with throwing out of my mind when I go to watch an earlier horror movie. I don't have to really care or point out the cliches because at the time they were the ones kind of inventing these situations and the cliches.
You're not wrong.
Because without even doing too much spoiling of the movie, in the first, we don't get to see the killer's face
At all.
There's no confirmed identity to the Moaner in this movie at all. And I like that because, evil's scarier without a face. Evil's scarier without a motive. And this movie is a pretty good representation of it's always scarier when there's no motive.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I did really enjoy about this movie. Because, you have like movies like Scream, and there's a reason that that Ghostface is killing people. Like there's a reason behind them. You have Halloween. There's a reason. There's a motive. You see the face of the killer. You see, well, you don't see Michael Myers, but you see the mask.
There's a clear representation
Yes.
of him in the Halloween movies.
And this movie, I really enjoyed the fact that you don't see who the killer is at all.
If anything, it's more scarier too because we get to see his perspective a good amount of times. And it's not a simple camera shot, it's a POV shots that we get to see of him in the beginning when he's just walking around the house, he's looking in the windows. It's like, okay, so this is a person that we're seeing through their eyes right now. What are they going to do? And then one thing leads to another. They keep creeping around if they find a way to climb up into the attic through the, what do you call those things that were like on the sides of houses? They had like the floral growing through them.
Dude, I know. Oh my God, what are the name of them? It's like
And
lattice type thing.
Yeah, and I've always questioned how those things could hold the weight of anybody, like big or small. Like I have a hard time believing that these things can hold the weight of a person.
I mean, depending on how they're built,
This
they
one
might
looked like
be
it
able
was.
to.
This one looked like it wasn't maintained very well.
Oh, definitely not. I want to know what they're called.
But yeah, I think this is like one of the first movies you can think of that shows the perspective of the killer, specifically in that FOV, in that POV situation.
Yeah.
Because the
Uh,
only other one I can think of come after with a few shots, that's not really FOV, but you know, in Halloween we get to see a couple of shots of like over the shoulder on Michael as he's stalking Lori,
yeah, that is true.
or when he's driving the car. But they're not like this is hand cam shakiness, like it looks like a human head moving.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I did really enjoy about it is the fact that it's like a very like it gives, without showing us the killer, it gave us like the proof that this is just a regular guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is just some dude that is clearly batshit fucking crazy. Um so I
Yeah.
mean, I still am very much intrigued by it, and I wish that we got more of a story on this killer, if I'm gonna be honest.
I mean, that's a fair point. If you're really looking for that, I think the 2006 movie has it. I haven't seen that movie in years.
Yeah, see, I've like I said, I've seen the 2006 one. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I did watch it. And it's not good.
Probably not. You're all out there listening. Let us know if you want to any of the.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know if you guys want us to do an episode on the 2006 version or the 2019 version.
Yeah, but kind of continuing on to some of these other characters that we do see in this movie. Like we said before, John Saxon plays Lieutenant Ken Fuller in this. He doesn't have too much screen time in this. They kind of let him as the competent police officer stay to the side. He's the only probably good-ish cop in this movie.
Honestly, yeah, it does kind of seem like that, considering that Sergeant Nash, played by Doug McGrath, um, like he literally gets chewed out by a college kid because he is a dick.
Yeah,
Like he kind
he's
of sucks.
he's a douche. He's not taking any of the things these people are saying seriously, which I think that's a kind of represent what's kind of going for in this movie. It's representing like at you know this town is flooded with a crime spree, and it's a murder spree that's happening before the events of the movie takes place initially.
Yeah.
And you know they're trying to find the lost teenage girl. So they're overwhelmed with all this work, but at the same time, these cops are not taking everything seriously because they're over filtering everything, or they're just plain old dicks like fucking Sergeant Nash.
Absolutely. And that's like and that's one of the things that is like really clear to see when you're like when you're first introduced to the police officers.
Yeah, because Nash is the first officer we see. He's the first one that the sorority girls have a conversation with, specifically Barb and Jess. Jess was the main girl, I believe. Correct, right?
Jess was the main girl. I couldn't remember. I don't remember if it was Barb or if it was Jess or if it was Barb and somebody else. But I know that
because I know it was Barb in that scene because she's the one that told him to write down fellatio
yep,
on
I
the
know that
report.
it was Barb.
Yeah. Which can I just say, Barb is. Uh, how do you? It's quite an interesting character. I never seen someone smoke inside so often.
Yeah, especially being as like she's been in a few other things, obviously. She was in Amityville, the Amityville Horror. She played Lois Lane in Superman and Superman 2 and a couple other things. And like I remember her from Superman, like the original, like the movie from 2000 or from 1978. Like I remember her from that. But then seeing her as this as Barb in Black Christmas and her just almost always having a cigarette in her mouth.
Yeah, always smoking inside. She was drunk as off her ass in the first scene that we see her in when they're having like the little get together.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of funny to see her character because she's kind of the up front and brunt character out of the rest of them. Like they're all like kind of like skittish on the phone when they're talking to the killer. It's like, oh my god, what are you saying? She just picks it up and starts taunting the killer back,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
everything's changed.
yeah, the fact that like when they get the call during the get together, and Jess was the one that picks it up, and then Barb just takes the phone and she's basically like, "You better not fucking call here anymore." Blah blah blah. Like pretty much just starts bitching him out, and then Claire just being like, "You really shouldn't talk to people like that."
Yeah. Although the last words the killer says to her is fucking was it it's like you're gonna die or I'm gonna kill you, and her entire move is like, what the fuck did he just say?
Yeah, and then like when Barb literally makes a comment of like uh her being from the city and like this is a like she gets calls like this all the time, which is super weird.
Also, one more observation of everything in this movie. I forget how bad hairstyles were in the 70s.
Oh yeah, are you talking about the
Every
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 character?
hairstyle, every character, none of
Oh,
them had good hair.
come on, not even the big white guy with the afro and aviators?
I
I mean, of all of them, the person that has the most normal hair is Jess, and that's just because her hair is just long and straight.
yeah. Yeah. John Saxon didn't really have too much hair left, I think, at this point, so I think he had to keep covering it anyways.
Yeah. No, he had his he almost never had a hat on. His hair was
He
just
had the
short.
Yeah, oh, that's fair. That's fair. Oh no, I'm thinking of Mr. Harrison.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Harrison was rocking the I'm not sure what the hairstyle is called, but he had
the
nothing
Albert
on top.
Einstein,
Oh, yeah, the Einstein, whatever it is.
pretty
Mr.
much.
Harris, Mr. Harrison had that Mr. Harrison hair.
Then you got like multiple of the girls that have perms. You had the like the dude that looks like he had perms.
Yep.
Yikes.
Oh yeah. The Jess's boyfriend turning ex-boyfriend at some point in the movie, his hair was pretty bad.
Oh my god, his hair was awful.
Oh,
It
can
just
we?
looks so bad.
I wanted to ask you something. On a scale as the music individual here, his playing in that one scene, I was sitting there thinking like, no wonder this guy didn't get what he wasn't achieving the goal he wanted. His playing fucking sucks.
Honestly, it kind of did. It kind of really did. He was playing. I don't remember what piece he was playing, but he was playing a like supposed to be like classical piece, but he was playing it with so much aggression that it just didn't sound right or good at all. Like there's a certain level of, aggression, mood, motive, whatever you want to call it, that you can put into music when you play it. But certain ones you gotta like, especially if you're, playing somebody else's piece, you have to like do it at the same like regulatory of your emotions for that piece as the other person did when they wrote it, or it's not gonna sound right. So yeah, it sounded like shit because he was angry.
Yeah. And he didn't really have a reason. Well, he had a slight reason to be upset and angry beforehand from his conversation earlier, but I won't go into that topic because that's something for people to watch on their own to find out.
Absolutely. There's honestly one of the other things that I really enjoyed about this movie is that clearly the A plot is very thick. Like you have to, really pay attention to fully understand everything that's going on. That's extremely clear to me. I love the fact that there is multiple fucking B plots that are just sprinkled throughout it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
there's stuff that you feel like is a B plot, but it actually turns out to be a part of the main story. like part of the main plot. Like that is somehow a crucial piece later on in the movie, and I fucking adore shit like that.
Yeah, and there was a good amount of money. I do agree with how the amount of money, minor little details that they were doing in this film. Another one that I have to do more, I'm gonna have to do more research into, but when the head woman who's like overseeing all the girls, what was her name again?
Miss
The
Mac.
Miss Mac. When she was kind of going through the rooms and stuff, and she was like, they were teasing so many like mirror and jump scares, and I'm like, what the hell? This happened. It was happening in 1974. Like
Yeah.
the concept of a modern jump scare. I'm just sitting here thinking because they do the entire like she looks away from the mirror to get a set of booze in an area which I don't think I would want to drink. Where that booze came from,
Hey, it was in a sealed bottle.
she pulls back up. No one's in the mirror. She opens the mirror, closes it, and no one's there. And it's just fuck. And they do that multiple times through the entire scene. I'm just like, I'm surprised that this movie did that many times without like fully going into the jump scare.
Honestly, so am I. One other thing that I want to point out about Miss Mac's character, she was played by Marion Waldman. Um, Gotta say, very much enjoyed her character. Her character is 100% the fucking like uh comic relief type character. I adore her because she's supposed to be like this role model to these girls, and then you got freaking Mr. Harrison, one of the girls' dads, that's coming to look for his daughter because she was supposed to meet him, and he meets Miss Mac, who is clearly a drunk and clearly like all this other shit. Like she is borderline fucking like insane to this normal guy. But I loved her character, and I find it incredible that she only ever acted in 7 things. This was her 4th movie that she was in.
Yeah, I think the last thing that she played in was 1980's Phobia.
Yep, as Miss
Yeah,
Casey.
so, and that was not a big movie at the time. That was relatively low budget, but she was also a writer. She wrote a couple of things before she came in before she did this movie.
Yeah, she wrote
Specifically, I
a
believe on
couple.
TV series.
Yeah, she wrote a couple different TV series. She worked on High Hopes, Salty, The Star Lost, and Police Surgeon, whatever that is. But still, the fact that she was a writer and then decided to, try for this, and even then, like her writing credits, like her earliest one is 1971. She was born in 1924, so 71. She was 55 years old when she first got into this career, which is
Yeah,
awesome. I think that that's really cool. I wonder what she did beforehand though.
that's something that we have to do research into on that one.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna want to, cause I'm curious about it. Let's see. Can I find anything quick? Canadian actress, born December 16th. Oh shit. Uh let's see. Father was a physician. Yeah, I don't see anything specific on what she did beforehand. I'll have to do some research because I am very curious about what she did before she
Only thing
was
I
a
can
writer
relatively
and
see here
actress.
is she did some stage acting, and was a chorus girl before branching out into the acting and stage plays.
All right, that's still really cool.
Yeah,
It's crazy to me to think about that. Like, some people, they get in and they start working on acting credits careers, like an acting career when they're younger. But then you have other people that don't really start until they are older, and I think that it's awesome when people do that. Follow your passions and your dreams, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, so
But also speaking of another character that we talked about in her that she made, James Edmund is the one who played Mr. Harris. He's most known for his role as Mr. Harrison in this movie, but he also played in a couple other smaller movies in like the 50s. The other big one I've noticed that I haven't watched yet, but I want to put on here because the name's funny. Devil Girl from
I
Mars.
was gonna say, are you gonna say Devil Girl from Mars?
It's on the top of his IMDb, and it stands out so much.
This looks like a movie that you and I need to watch because this just seems insane. Just
And
from
I think
looking
it's
at it.
the
Hey, we could actually do an episode on this. This is a horror science fiction movie.
oh, I can't wait.
Oh, we're definitely gonna do an episode on Devil Girl from Mars now. I'm
I
gonna
love it.
write
Put
that
it on the
down so
list.
I remember.
Put that on the list.
Put it on the list. We have such a long list right now.
Don't worry, we'll get through it quicker than you think.
Knowing us, I don't think we will.
Don't ever doubt.
Fair enough. So yeah, I liked his character. I found his character also quite entertaining. Mostly for the fact of like he seems like such a well put together guy, like middle class man, just really put together. And he, sent his literal words is, "I didn't send my daughter here to drink alcohol and flirt with boys."
Oh
And that's
yeah,
like the most dad thing that I feel like he could have said, and I find it really
yeah.
funny.
That's like the last scene I think we get with him having actual dialogue.
Yeah,
Because
because
after that,
pretty much the rest of the movie, he's just kind of there.
yeah, he's just kind of a back. He's just kind of in the background reacting to the situations at hand. But I also loved in that scene when he says that too. Uh, Mrs. Mack sees the poster up on the wall behind her. That's the peace symbol, but it's the two naked people.
Yeah.
And she like all she's covering is their asses.
Yeah, she's just covering the ass of the person on top. And then she like opens the door like trying to hide it. And then she just walks out of the room and he just like ekes the door open so he can check so he can look to see what she was covering and he looks so disgusted. I find
Yeah.
that is such a funny scene.
Yeah. I do think we have to give one spoiler alert. So if you want to skip ahead a little bit, I can't guarantee what the timestamp's going to be. But the first kill in the movie is a suffocation scene with a bag. And I believe where the killer was hiding in that scene was behind that door, too.
No, because he was in the closet.
I think that was the closet door because he
No,
had the
that
door
was
that opened up.
That
There was two doors there.
No, that was the door that like left her room.
There's two doors there, though.
Yeah, but like when you're looking at it, so the door, like where the poster was, it was on the door. It was on the wall that when her bedroom door was open, it was covered, so it couldn't be seen. I know what you mean. Like I at first like I had to like stop and rewind the movie because I was like, what the fuck is that? And I had to like really look at it because I was like, why is there just a fucking poster of these two naked people on this girl's wall? And then I noticed that it was the peace symbol. And while I had it paused, I was looking at it. And I was like, okay, so the bedroom door, the picture on the wall, and then the closet door was like near it. But that wasn't the closet. Because you also have to think about it. Miss Mac walks out through that door. And I don't know why she would walk into Claire's closet. Also, we'll probably do a massive spoiler warning at the end of this because I want to rant about stuff in this movie. But I'll wait until we're towards the end so we can just kind of I can do my little rant. Let's see who else in this movie. Fucking I don't even know this guy's name. So almost all of the girls have partners of some kind in this movie. Olivia had Peter. Phil had somebody. I don't remember who the fuck it was. Claire was dating a guy named Chris. and I think Barb was the only one that wasn't currently dating anybody. I want to say that the guy that played. Nope, that's not him. What was that guy's name? We only saw him for a brief period of time because he was at the beginning of the movie. Dude with
You're talking about
the
the guy that the
afro.
guy with the afro. Yeah, he has my favorite line in the entire movie.
What's the line?
Ho ho ho! Fuck.
Oh yeah. No,
He has the kid sitting.
dude, honestly, I find it fucking hilarious that they were like, "Oh yeah, you get ready to dress up as Santa Claus," and then he does, and he just seems so pissed off the entire time, and just like he's done, and he does not want to be there. Like this man just casually was swearing in front of these children. There was one of the we do not promote this is not something that you should do, but this was something that they did in this movie. One of the characters, Barb, the one that definitely has a drinking problem, was like giving alcohol to a child.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think any of these sorority people should have been hosting anything for kids because they were a good portion of them were getting drunk. Santa was definitely not sober.
Oh, definitely not. And I mean look at their role model that they have. She was hiding alcohol bottles in books, like in the back of a toilet.
Can I
Like
just say,
Miss Mac was like the queen of alcohol of this movie,
when
and
I get a
Barb was
house,
her little princess.
when I get a house, man, I want to fucking hide a random bottle of booze in places. I don't know how. Why you would hide it in a thick ass book? I gotta figure out what book it was. They had to have shown what the title of that book was.
I'm pretty sure that they did. Honestly, I would hide like a bottle. It's like an emergency bottle, you know what I mean? Um like I'd hide a bottle, and that would be like my own personal little bottle that I have. I would do that 100%. I wouldn't put it in the back of my fucking toilet.
Yeah, no, that's the last place I'm thinking. I would hide it in like a random ass. It'd be like a random ass book, like buy like one of those thick Barnes and Noble copies of like Dracula or something, and hide it in there.
Yeah, something
Or
like that. Or
what do you
like
have two? Why do
or
you have two copies of Adventures to the Galaxy?
what?
Or the fuck? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Or
Thank
the fuck
you.
book.
Jesus.
I couldn't remember what the book
I was
was.
going to say, "Oh my god, you're a moron."
I never read it and I never watched it. I watched the opening scene. I saw the dolphins fly away. I'm like, okay, that's funny. Nothing else is going to live up to the rest of this movie.
Hey, I enjoyed that movie. I enjoyed the book way fucking more, but yeah. But okay. Anyways, Black Christmas. So, there's, I don't know, dude. Like this movie, the killer, I loved. I really enjoyed him. Like you said, not seeing makes it scarier, and I completely agree with that. Like it's such a good way of doing it, the way that they did. Because
Yeah.
there's a couple people that did not do that have done, like, there's a couple movies that have done like we're not going to show you the killer, and it's just bad.
Mostly, like it's mostly out of the fact it's a budget issue, you know.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's a regular dude. How are you gonna make a regular dude scary if it looks like Bob from down the street?
That is true. I like, especially I really like that, like we only ever see him, like we see his point of with his POV shots. We see his like we see his hands a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
And then like we see like silhouette type things. But I love the fact that anytime that we saw a silhouette of him, his entire face was blacked out except one of his eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a really good job at hiding as much detail, but still kind of like
Giving us just
you,
a little bit. Yeah.
you could. It's like piecing together a puzzle in your mind of like, what does this guy look like?
Absolutely. It definitely like makes it a fuck ton creepier. So since
Well, yeah.
we're talking about our killer, I feel like we should talk about our main girl because we kind of have not yet.
Oh yes, that's fair.
So main girl was Jess, played by Olivia Hussey. Um, Olivia Hussey is best known for Romeo and Juliet from 1968. She also got screamed at by a clown in 1990, uh,
Yeah. And
which I think is
for
very
those who
funny.
don't want a bit more data, it's the one that was directed by, I'm gonna butcher his last name, but it was directed by Franco Zeffirelli.
Which one are you talking about?
Or Romeo and Juliet. That's the version we're talking
Uh,
about.
yeah, I would guess Franco Zeffirelli. I'd guess Zeffirelli. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the one that she was in, and she played Juliet in that. But
She was also in the original Death on the Nile. So that was the one I
oh
recognized her
yes,
from.
she was. God, I forgot about that. She was in the original Death on the Nile. I gotta rewatch that movie. It's been a long time since I've seen Death on the Nile. But
Forgot they made a remake.
no, she's been in a bunch of stuff. Funny enough, she has been in not one, not two, but I see at least 3 Star Wars video games as a voice actor.
Listen, and that's pre-Disney, so I can't imagine there. Well, Lucasfilms probably had that, not Disney money, but Lucasfilms money was
Uh
probably pretty good.
yeah, from what I can see, she was in Rogue Squadron in 1998. She was in Force Commander in 2000, and then in 2011 she was actually in the Old Republic.
Okay, so she was in the MMO.
Yeah, which is
Got it.
kind of cool to think about, mostly for the fact of, one, I love Star Wars, two, video games. um but I honestly, so Jessa's character confused me at first, if I'm going to be honest. I was not prepared for her to weirdly, like, it sounded like at the beginning of the movie she had an English accent, and then like towards the end of the movie it just kind of went away. I don't know if I'm crazy. I don't know if I was just hearing shit, but I could have fucking swore that she had an English accent at the beginning of the movie, and then by the end it was just gone.
Yeah, that's fair. I think this movie isn't very dialogue heavy. This is a very visual centric movie.
Absolutely.
But so her I feel like it might have been an inconsistency and probably maybe a directing issue or lack of direction for it
I believe that
of
there's a
saying.
chance that it could have been that. It could be that as well. But it's definitely like, it threw me for a loop when like I heard her at the beginning and I was like, "Oh, okay, she's like an English girl, like she's a girl from England that, is going to school wherever the fuck this is taking place, cuz I have no idea where Black Christmas takes place."
It was filmed in Canada. I'm just in my mind I'm thinking it's just some Canadian college.
I'm guessing.
I don't know any colleges in Canada, but that's all I can think of.
Let's see. It takes place in Montreal.
All
So,
right, yeah. So,
what? This is based on a
yeah,
true life event?
well, you gotta think this was a movie that kind of hit for a scene for a line later in dialogue, and the idea of it as more fleshed out in What a Stranger Calls.
Yeah, but like this is like literally based on real life true crime story that took place in Montreal.
I didn't know it was in Montreal, but I knew it was a collection of, because I thought it was the same situation as When a Stranger Calls, where that entire thing was like based on a couple a few urban legends and a true story and a couple true stories.
Huh. I'm looking up what true event it's based off of.
Because my big thing was the urban legend, the babysitter, and the man upstairs, and a series of murders that took place on Westmount neighborhood of Montreal, Quebec. That is what I have in the thing here.
So yeah, that's what I'm seeing. So it's not directly based off of one true story. It draws from real life murders, urban legends, babysitter, and the man upstairs. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is still cool. I like that. I like when they pull stuff from like real life into it, because like, let's be real, like, to me, if I'm sitting down and I'm watching a horror movie and it is like this super grotesque, really messed up, like if if like a child saw this, they would be scarred for life. Like if I'm watching that, I'm like, this is fucked up, but I fucking like it. Obviously, that's why we do this podcast. But like, if we have something like that and it's just so eerie, so creepy, and I'm like, but there is no fucking way this could be real. No way. So it doesn't scare me as much. But then you have stuff like Black Christmas, that it's just a regular guy that broke into somebody's fucking house.
Yeah.
That is a real thing that happens.
Yeah, it's something that can happen. So,
can and does.
Yeah. And it's a very dark situation. And the fact is, this movie, I think, benefits from the fact that it doesn't show us too much for the kills, which we don't even get to see one of the bodies in this movie. I won't say what it was, but we don't get to see it. We're stuck on we get stuck on the reactions of the people who come across it.
Which, if we're gonna talk about the reactions, I want to talk about them. Since you brought him up, fucking Mr. Harrison's reaction. Dude,
at the end of the movie?
At the end of the movie, even at the, like, when they find the body. You know what I'm talking about. When they find the body and his, like, everybody, like, the girls that are there, they're screaming, and then he walks up and he's just like, oh, like, he's like, holy shit, but, like, doesn't actually express that fully. I fucking love that. I thought it was funny as shit. It gave comedy to a really fucked up situation.
I think that was unintentional, not gonna lie.
Oh, but I know that it definitely was. Like,
at the end though, when he passes out in the chair, he kind of walks into the room. We don't even get to hear what they're saying. All of a sudden, you just see him kind of like fall into the chair.
Which, like, I find insane that he does that. Because, like at the time, they still haven't found Claire.
Yeah.
So, like,
they have not.
Yeah, everybody's like, okay, she's probably dead. But, like, this man just completely gave up. He was just like, yep, my daughter's gone. Guess I gotta try again. Like, what the fuck? And he's just like, nap time. I don't know if he was actually in shock or if Grandpa just needed his nap.
Listen, I would need a nap too after being out in that cold ass weather outside all night.
Oh, come on. Being out in the cold is nothing new for you or I. Where we live, fair. It's cold.
That's fair. But going back to some of the hairstyles, as I'm like kind of just zooming, as I'm like going through the taskbar here in correlation with my notes, I have to go back to Peter just because of how bad his fucking hair is. This fucking man.
No, his hair is bad. It's like, let's see. Robert, give us your best definition of this hair. Like, what would you like refer to this as?
this shit looks like a mop head, but the mop for some reason is missing a few of its like strands, but also curls at a couple of the ends.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the fucking head. Yeah, no, it is. It is so fucking beyond bad. And
It
like,
looks like
honestly,
you
it
ever
fits this dude because he's fucking insane.
you remember when you ever see the like cover art of the Beatles and it looks like their hair is like made out of plastic.
Yeah, one of the things I was gonna say is it kind of looks like Beatle hairstyle, which I mean
It
makes
is the
sense for the time.
70s.
It is the 70s, but it's bad. But like honestly, Peter is fucking insane. Like of the guys like that we get like somewhat of a story on. I'm glad that we got more of Peter's story because this man is fucking out of his goddamn mind. He fucking fails his piano thing, and little spoiler, but not at all to the story of the movie. This man takes a mic stand to a piano and just starts beating on it.
He also does a shitty job at it.
Yeah, he does. He swings so half-heartedly. Like you can tell he doesn't really want to do that.
I mean, it's probably because they only have the one piano and
They were like, we're gonna have to do this scene more than once. Don't fuck it up the first time.
we got one piano and we got to return it later. Don't do too much.
Don't do too much damage. We still got the receipt. We're trying to get our money back. Oh my god. No, it's like the guys that we meet, it was Chris, the Afro dude, which I still don't know his fucking name.
I can't. Let me see if I can find a quick.
Like I see the names of all the cast, but I don't know which one he is. I'm very confused. God, I don't know. Fucking. Let's see. Da-da-da-da. No.
No, it's Patrick. Patrick's his name.
Patrick. Okay. Fucking love Patrick. That man. Fucking great hairstyle. Uh, he hasn't been in a lot of stuff either. He was the drunk Santa Claus.
Yep, that's all I could think that he is. Listen, like I said, is Michael Raptor? I think is how you pronounce his last name.
Report.
I'm gonna say Raptor.
Where did you get the E? It's
It could've been one of those-
Rapportort.
I'm dyslexic.
Excuse me. There's no E, so it can't be Raptor.
Watch it. Listen, I'm just saying. Some people have names spelled one way and they're spelled differently. This is the English language we're talking about here, okay?
Oh
It
my
never makes
God.
sense.
Yeah, I know, but come on, dude.
I'm dyslexic. Fuck
You
you.
dyslexic bitch.
Uh, Also, I feel like Raptor is better than Report.
Yeah, Raptor sounds cooler. So
But he's done a lot of background and extra work and other things.
So I'm looking at like I jumped over to the 2006 version of Black Christmas just because like I'm looking at the characters because I'm looking at like the like what connections there is between them. There's one and it's a big one. Miss Mac. There is a Miss Mac in Black Christmas in 2006. And believe it or not, this is actually a really cool little fact. The let me see, I want to make sure that I'm right on this. Miss Mac from the 2006 Black Christmas is the girl that played Phil in the 1974 Black Christmas.
No, that's a pretty cool. Colin Carr, because Phil's the one that was dating
Patrick.
Patrick. Yeah.
And she was one of the, she was the, like, out of these girls, like, you could kind of, like, get a sense of, like, their personalities from the little bit that we actually got to learn about the girls. Barb is 100% the party girl, clearly. Always has a cigarette in her mouth, drunk as shit 90% of the time. Phil was 100% like the nerdy chick. Like, she, the big glasses, the, worried about school and shit. And, like, 100%, she gave off I am the nerd chick to me. Is that just me, or did you get that, like, kind of
she definitely was the studious one out of the group.
100%. She definitely was more studious than Peter, or else he wouldn't have failed that piano recital.
Phil, or Patrick, Phil, whatever the fuck his name is, he was given a bad start when he decided to get that haircut.
Hey, Patrick, he just has an afro. Why are you beating on Patrick?
Whatever the lunatic is, we talked about so many names at this point. They're all blending together. That's one bad thing about this movie, is all the names are kind of uninteresting.
Yeah, the names do really blend together. The only one that, like, super sticks out to me is Miss Mac, and that's just because Miss Mac, the fucking drunk.
I can relate with a fellow alcoholic.
Right? That's what I'm saying. It's not a problem until I run out. So, as we are approaching the hour mark, I'm going to start my rant.
Okay. Go off.
So, this is the spoiler warning to anybody that wants to watch this movie. Skip ahead a little bit if you don't want spoilers, because I'm about to fucking rip this movie apart for a minute. Okay, for starters, 1, I agree with you. He should not have been able to climb up the lattice to get inside the house. That's fucking bullshit. Those things are not meant to withstand the weight of a person. I hate it. Second, I hate how they get into their attic. Who the fuck? Why is this house designed that there is a literal ladder, like a wooden rung ladder, in the middle of a fucking hallway? Why?
That's probably just some old, like,
some weird
renovation.
1970s Canadian shit. Maybe.
No, that's like one of those old colleges that was built in the 1800s. So that ladder was put there by some.
Yeah, but they were in a sorority house. This is was a house. This is just a regular house.
Yeah, and that could have been established much earlier than the 1900s. It looked like older architecture, so it could have been. It was probably something that was there before it was even turned into a sorority home.
That's fair.
It was also probably just what they had on hand. They were probably just looking for a house that had that ladder.
True. So, continuing down my rant. We should have got more Patrick time. This man was in the beginning shot of the movie. We meet him at the party. He goes and does drunk Santa at the fucking thing. And then while all of this stuff is happening and, like, his girlfriend's friends are missing and, there's a killer on the loose, this man just dips. We should have got more time with him, or he's just a really bad boyfriend. And I don't fuck with that. It's kind of fucked up. Yeah. Next on my list, the guy named Graham. Graham was played by Leslie Carlson. He was the, like, tech guy for the fucking police.
Yeah, Graham was the guy he was in the call center, but I'm gonna call it a call center because I can't think of another term right now.
His character irritated me. I don't know why, but his character just really made me want to punch him in the face. I don't know. Chris's character made me want to punch him in the face. That was Claire's boyfriend.
The hockey player, right?
Yes, the hockey player. And now down to nitty gritty of the, real spoiler type stuff, the kill stuff. One,
That's one
I know
strong hook. That was one strong hook at one point.
Yes, that is a strong motherfucking hook. I'm sorry, no offense to Miss Mac, but she was a little bit of a bigger woman. That's fine. Why the fuck is there a hook that is just hanging from your ceiling? This is clearly just a regular guy, so he did not pull this up by himself. There was 100% a pulley system in place. Why is there a pulley system in your fucking house?
Also not that, but he didn't even swing it. He just kind of let the hook go. Like, he didn't put any force behind it, so that way he could guarantee that it wouldn't impale her. But I love that about this, because she had time. She, like, stared, had a few seconds, like, oh, there's someone up here. I should just kind of, like, start going down. Her entire thing was like, oh, and waiting.
You literally, there's literally a scene in a POV of the killer of him with his hands out holding this hook, and she is just dead staring at this guy. Like, oh God, what are you gonna do there? But still, why do you have a fucking hook pulley system in your attic?
It's probably some old timey thing, something that's
what the fuck. Dude, I grew up in an old ass fucking house. We didn't have one of those.
Older than your house, I don't know.
My parents' house was built in the 1800s, dude.
Maybe it was like,
if this house was built in the 1800s,
maybe it was there for it was there to like move a piano or something. I don't know.
Really, you're gonna bring the piano back?
I'm gonna bring wasn't there like a piano in like one of the backgrounds of that place?
No.
There probably was, but my point still stands that it was there to lift a heavy object, maybe to get it somewhere that it needed to be.
Maybe.
What heavy object? I don't know.
Fucking Miss Mac.
Whoa.
No offense. Her character is literally designed to be like the bigger fucking alcoholic drunk lady. Like, that's just her. That is her character. You can't say that it's not. Next on my fucking list, jumping back to fucking Peter. This man, not only does he have the shittiest hairstyle of anybody in this entire fucking movie, he is a literal psychopath and the most like attempted like manipulator that I have ever seen in a fucking older horror movie. This man tries so hard to manipulate Jess and just doesn't work.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. And the movie's unapologetic about it. And I think that is good because it's like saying, hey, this guy is a piece of shit. Nothing more, nothing less.
He threatened her life.
Yeah.
And that's fucking insane. And then this man, at the end of the movie, when we get the shot in between the door frame of the killer's eyeball, and Jess runs downstairs and goes into the basement because the door was jammed, which is a really nice detail that from earlier on in the movie when Miss Mac mentions the door is jammed and they need the person that owns the house to fix it, which is a really cool detail that they brought that back up instead of just the door is locked. I appreciate that they gave a actual genuine reason of why that door did not open. Not just somebody locked the door. I appreciate it a lot. But when she runs down into the basement, she locks the door. She goes downstairs. One, you are holding a fucking iron fucking fire poker. The killer guy has nothing. For starters.
Yeah.
You would win in a fight. And second,
unless he brings the hook downstairs somehow.
Yeah, unless he fucking unlodges it from fucking Miss Mac's body and then brings the hook downstairs.
Yeah, the hook's just out of her, but the rope is like traveling all the way down.
God. But then, we have the creepy ass scene of the silhouette in the window, which I really like. Very much appreciate that. Wasn't expecting it to be Peter. And I like that it was. And then this man is just like, Jess, are you in there? Are you in there? And then shatters the fucking window and crawls inside. He's like, hey, little mama, what you doing? Why you acting crazy? Why do you look scared? Why do you look upset? Bitch, I don't know. You've been present for the entire night. Her friends are missing. Her friends are dead. There is a serial killer on the loose. Why do you think she acts frightened, you dumb motherfucker? The cliche, it gets me, and it fucking irritated me so much. But above that, above everything, the biggest thing that irritated me in this entire movie, Claire dies first. Because of the bag in the closet.
Yeah. Yes.
The killer, then, with everybody else still in the house, somehow gets Claire's body to the attic with nobody hearing or seeing anything. Okay. Weird. I call bullshit. And then puts her in a rocking chair directly next to the window. You can see her dead body from the street. Nobody saw it? Nobody saw it.
Maybe they thought, one, from a distance, maybe they thought she was just it was just somebody staring through the thing up there rocking, no questions asked.
They knew that somebody was in the attic.
Two, it's the 70s. They probably had some pretty good shit they were all mostly on at that time.
Like, that just, it irritated me that you could see her from the window and none of the cops fucking checked it. Also, if I was in a if I was in a horror movie, if I was in a horror setting and I took somebody's life to protect myself, and then the cops let me go take a nappy nap in my own bed.
No, they didn't even let her go take a nappy nap. She was unconscious. She was basically unconscious. Yeah. And they carried her to the bedroom.
You know what? You are completely right. They did carry her to the bedroom. And then Mr. Harrison walks in. He passes out in the chair, and they're like, he's got to go to the hospital. What about the girl? What about her? She just murdered somebody.
The cops aren't very good here.
The cops are so shit. Dude, when they're talking about what to do next, you can hear one of the cops go, do you want us to do a sweep of the basement, the attic, and the entire house where the living quarters are? And the fucking cop says no. What do you mean?
Because they thought that the killer was already there. They thought it was him.
I don't care.
He made himself look so suspicious, like, it can't be anybody else. It's this dude.
Yeah, they're like, okay, it can't be anybody else. It must be this dude. Don't worry. We still have 2 other people missing. We are completely aware that the calls were coming from inside the house. Yeah, don't worry about going to check the places that people don't normally go.
I'm surprised you're more pissed about a lot of that and not for the glass pony kill.
The glass pony kill it was weird.
It was probably my second favorite kill behind the opening kill in this movie, but I felt like he's able to stab her too many times with the pony. I feel like it should have shattered much sooner than what it did.
I agree as well, but it's like that I can get over it. I can be like, oh, it's tempered glass. That's harder to break. I can give a logical reason of why that was hard to break. I cannot come up with a logical fucking reason that police officers that knows that there is a serial killer on the loose would not still check the rest of the house. I don't give a fuck. That is a crime scene. You check that shit from top to fucking bottom. You overturn everything. They did none of it. They brought her down. They brought her upstairs from the basement. They brought her up to the second story. Not even just to the couch. Or, you know, and they were in the basement. They could have brought her up to the first story and out the door into an ambulance.
And
you don't know if she's injured. You don't know if she's injured. You're going to leave her alone in the house? I'm sorry. She killed somebody. I don't give a rat's ass. Guess what? I never ever since people started going away, like people started missing and shit, she would be one of the suspects too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave her alone in the house. I wouldn't just be like, let her fucking rest. She'll be asleep for like 4 hours. Just let her do her thing and then go fucking la-di-da-di-da and shove my thumb up my ass. What the fuck are you doing? If you want if you want a cop to stay at that house, that's fine. I understand it. Keep a fucking detail on her if you cannot move her right now. Understandable. That cop should not be outside of the house. He should be inside. Yeah, whether that inside is in the fucking living room, waiting for that girl to wake up, or in the fucking room with her. It was clear there's multiple chairs in that room. There was multiple people sitting in the chair at first when she got brought upstairs.
Uh-huh.
Also, she was the first person to just faint randomly. You fought off Peter, killed him, and then you just took a nap and let his dead body rest on you? What the fuck?
She probably hit him over the head and, like, you know, he could have tumbled onto her. And then the big thing, and it's probably just that entire, like, shock that got her. Like, I just killed somebody.
And then she just take a nappy nap.
They might, she less of a nappy nap and more for just passing out due to shock.
This, like, I know that it's cliches. I know that it's, like, it's, you know, stupid fucking shit that, you know, would never fly in real life. I get that. I know. I've watched enough horror movies. But, like, oh my God. Just those little things, they pissed me off so much. Also, dead body, probably stinky. I don't know. Never seen one. Never smelt one. But I imagine that they are, because when you die, your body just shoots out all of your fucking excrement.
Yeah, but these are the things that you don't typically have to think about.
Yeah, but I think about them. Oh, so I'm like, nobody smells Claire's shit?
Listen, these are just questions you shouldn't need to ask, okay?
I have to ask them. Robert, that's why we do this. That's why we do this show. We ask the questions.
The smell of cigarette smoke is probably more overwhelming smell than her shit upstairs.
I doubt it.
That and on top of that, I feel like maybe, just maybe, everybody's on something at all times and can't really care to notice.
Possibly. Okay. We're at the end.
We got to admit one really good thing about that being upstairs. We are consistently reminded as the audience that her dead body is upstairs.
Yes.
We see multiple
I do appreciate
points.
that.
We see multiple points of people coming and leaving the house while her dead body is upstairs.
Yeah. Whether it's seen from the window, because the audience can see it, but apparently everybody else is just very unperceptive. Or they give us the shot inside the attic of her dead body pointing out the window, which is really cool. I do really appreciate that they do that. Like, give us that little subtle reminder. And then when Miss Mac dies, then you get the shot of, like, Claire in the rocking chair next to the window, and behind her is Miss Mac with the fucking thing in her fucking face. And I also appreciate that they did that, especially for the fact of the cover art for this movie. Like, one of the main ones is Claire.
Yes.
And it's I like that they did that, because she has such a small role in this movie.
Yes, a character in Death is playing more of a role than Santa.
Which, by the way, Claire was played by Lynn Griffin. She is most notable for Black Christmas. She was also in Curtains. She was in Strange Brew. She also played the grandma in Thanksgiving that we spoke of last week.
Yeah, she was, wasn't she?
Yeah. Which is a nice little callback. So, Robert, we have reached the end of the episode. So we gotta answer the questions, the writing questions that we always answer.
Yes, we do.
What is your rank of this movie? 0 to 10.
On a scale of 0 to 10, I feel like this movie is classic in the Christmas horror genre. It is a staple. It inspired other movies before it. And because of that influence and how much I love the idea of it being a horror macabre or a Christmas macabre, I have to give it a 8.5 out of 10.
That's completely fair. For me, personally, because of my gripes with the movie. Because honestly, overall, for the story of this movie, 10 out of 10. I love the story. For the movie as a whole, though, I give it like a 7.5 to an 8.
Fair.
And that's purely because of my gripes. I love that it is a staple for the horror community in the Christmas slashers. There is a fair amount of horror Christmas movies, but like this is kind of where they all spawned from.
Sure. Yeah, they started and spawned from this one.
Which I really appreciate, and I very much like that. So our next question, survivability. Do you think you could survive the Black Christmas Massacre?
I'm going to give myself on a scale of survivability. I have out of 5 chances, I'm going to give myself 4. Because as long as I don't have a shitty ass haircut and ain't breaking through windows when people are already in distress, I think I have a good chance of surviving.
Honestly, of the movies that we have talked about so far, a lot of them have been some kind of supernatural force or somebody that clearly has like extra strength or, you know, high durability type thing. I give myself a 4 out of 5 as well as a chance to survive this, purely for the fucking fact this is just a regular fucking dude.
Yep.
This is just an insane man that just wants to murder people for some fucking reason. You know, what that reason may be, I don't care.
Only reason I give myself only a 4 out of 5 chance is for the sole fact that that man has a hook in hand. I know I'm fucked.
You know, I would say the hook in the hand is what would fuck me over. But the reason that I'm going to say that wouldn't be what fucked me over is the fact of If I have the same amount of time as Miss Mac had, oh, I'm just letting go of the ladder. I will fall down to the fucking second story. I can
That's
catch
fair. That's
myself.
fair.
You're not that high off the ground.
That's very fair. That's very fair. But with that, we thank you for joining us on this very first festive night in the graveyard, folks. We hope that you don't trip over any of the lights that we put up on a couple of the tombstones to make it look a bit more lively in here. So please, walk safe, be careful, and check your attics every now and then. And we'll see you next time.
And make sure that you don't go kicking open any glass windows in basements just to be a dick. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.